Greetings, superhero aficionados. This is Realm Warrior. As promised, we now have fancy new technology to do these things better. I've been wanting to play with this stuff for a while now, so here we go. We're gonna play with it. And what better way of starting off than by talking about gun control? Dun dun dun! We finally have something on gun control. I'm not entirely sure what the heck it is because they said there's gun control. They said we're gonna do this gun control stuff, and yeah, the current sniffer in chief is I'm not entirely sure he's completely coherent in what the heck he's talking about. I've only seen clips, so we're gonna actually watch the entire thing together and do what I like to do. Make fun of him and anybody else who gets in the way. So I do a little switcher thing. Yeah, fancy toys, and let's roll. And this is on YouTube, USA Today was the one that recorded this particular variant, but all the same, and really. Yes, wave at all the peoples.
Good morning.
Great.
Over the course of my career, I have seen gun violence up close. I've looked at autopsy photographs. I've seen with my own two eyes what a bullet can do to the human body. I've held hands with the hands of parents who have lost a child. I have seen children who were traumatized by the loss of a parent or sibling.
It's twice used child.
And I have fought my entire career to end this violence and to pass reasonable gun safety laws. Time and again, as progress has stalled, we've all asked, what are we waiting for? Because we aren't waiting for a tragedy, I know that. We've had more tragedy than we can bear. We aren't waiting for solutions either.
Getting into office.
Because the solutions exist. They already exist. People on both sides of the aisle want action. Real people on both sides of the aisle.
You call me a fake people?
So all that is left is the will and the courage to act.
I have the will and the courage to act. I shot you.
And President Joe Biden has the will and the courage to act.
We're good.
As a United States Senator, Joe Biden took on the gun lobby not once but twice, and he won. In 1993,
gun lobby twice
he worked
in 40 years.
to pass the Brady Handgun Violation Prevention Act. This law established a background check system and has kept more than 3 million firearms out of the hands of dangerous people. A year later, he worked to pass another law to ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines for 10 years. And as vice president, Joe Biden led the Obama-Biden administration's efforts to reduce gun violence. In fact, we were just reminiscing that he and I talked back then about his work because I was Attorney General at the time of California. And his work resulted in nearly 24 actions, from narrowing the gun show loophole to expanding funding for mental health services. And as you will hear in a moment, President Joe Biden is a leader with great will, great determination, and even greater empathy. He has seen the grief of all of those who have lost a loved one to gun violence.
And then you started stiffing them.
It is for them, for all of us, that he will never, ever give up on this fight. And it is now my great honor to introduce the President of the United States, Joe Biden.
Everyone, our sniffer in chief. Now, let me quick sanitize this place because the VP, Tommy Harris, also known as...
Thank you, Kamala, Madam Vice President. Thank you very much.
Do you forget what her name was?
We're joined today by the Attorney General, Merrick Garland, who I've asked to prioritize gun violence. It's also good to see the second gentleman who is here. And it's good to see the First Lady, Dr. Jill Biden, who cares deeply about this issue as well. And I look out there and I see so many members of Congress who've led in this fight. So many of you who've never given up. So many of you are absolutely determined, as Murphy and others are, to get this done. We got a long way to go. It seems like we always have a long way to go. But also today we're taking steps to confront not just the gun crisis, but what is actually a public health crisis. Nothing I'm about to recommend in any way impinges on the Second Amendment.
BS.
They're phony arguments suggesting that these are Second Amendment rights at stake from what we're talking about.
They are.
But no amendment to the Constitution is absolute. You can't you can't yell fire in a crowded movie theater and call it freedom of speech. From the very beginning, you couldn't own any weapon you wanted to own. From the very beginning the Second Amendment existed, certain people weren't allowed to have weapons. So the idea is just bizarre to suggest that some of the things we're recommending are contrary to the Constitution. Gun violence in this country is an epidemic. Let me say it again. Gun violence in this country is an epidemic, and it's an international embarrassment.
I'm pretty sure you're wrong.
You know, we saw it again last night as I was coming to the Oval Office. I got the word that in South Carolina, a physician with his wife, 2 grandchildren, and a person working at his house was gunned down, all 5. So many of the people sitting here today know that well, unfortunately. You know, they know what it's like when the seconds change your life forever. I've had the pleasure of getting to meet in awful circumstances many of you who've lost your children, your husbands, your wives. You know, they know what it's like to bury a piece of their soul deep in the earth. We understand that.
I don't think you have one anymore.
Mark and Jackie, I want to tell you, it's
was
always
that?
good to see you, but not under these circumstances. I want to say, before I introduce the rest of the folks,
I was going to say someone's throwing garbage out there now.
What a lot of people have not been through, what they've been through, don't understand. It takes a lot of courage to come to an event like this. They're absolutely determined to make change. But Mark and Jackie, whose son Daniel was a first grader in Sandy Hook Elementary School, or Daniel
bringing out another one of
loves
those kids.
Outdoor sports, getting muddy. I see my friend Fred Gutenberg. His daughter Jamie was a freshman at Marjorie Stoneman Douglas High School.
Bringing another
She's
one.
An accomplished dancer. I see Brandon Wolf, who was a shooting at the Impulse at the Pulse Club, not nightclub. He survived, but his 2 best friends died. Greg Jackson, who was just walking down the street when he was caught in crossfire of a gunfight. And of course, I see a close friend of Jill's and mine, Congresswoman Gabby Gifford, who is here, who was speaking with her constituents in front of a grocery store in her state when she was shot and a member of her staff was killed.
Ouch.
You know, they're here, and their pain is immense. And you know,
I hope not. I
what a lot of you, hopefully many of you don't know, is you've gone through a trauma. No matter how much you work to make sure others don't go through it, every time you show up at an event like this, it brings back when you got that phone call. It brings back the immediacy of what happened at that moment. So I genuinely mean it. Thank you. Thank you for having the courage to be here, the courage to continue this fight. Senator Blumenthal understands it. A lot of the folks out here understand.
Let's go on.
But it takes real courage, so thank you. To turn pain into purpose and demand that we take the action that gives meaning to the word enough.
Like some
enough. Because what they want you to know, what they want you to do is not just listen. Every day in this country, 316 people are shot every single day. 106 of them die every day. Our flag was still flying at half-staff for the victims of the horrific murder of 8 primarily Asian American people in Georgia. And 10 more lives were taken in a mass murder in Colorado. You probably didn't hear it, but between those 2 incidents, less than 1 week apart, there were more than 850 additional shootings. 850 that took the lives of more than 250 people. And left
wait.
500.
Pause. Wait a minute. 850 shootings, 250 people died. That is some terrible accuracy. 850 shootings, 250 people died. That means 600 shootings where nobody died. If you have one death per shooting. And we know that obviously ain't the case in some of these other shootings, are mass shootings. You have 2 or 3 people. People just shot the place up and nobody got hit. Nobody got killed, I should say. Maybe they're all injuries. Maybe the rest of them are injuries. But this don't math out. Sorry, I had to do that.
500 injured. This is an epidemic, for God's sake. And it has to stop. So I'm here to talk about 2 things.
Right.
First, the steps we're going to take immediately.
That's 750.
And second, the action that needs to be taken going forward to curb the epidemic of gun violence.
It's not an epidemic.
I asked the Attorney General and his team to identify for me immediate, concrete actions I could take now without having to go through the Congress. And today I'm announcing several initiatives.
And today I'm going to act like a king instead of a duly elected leader of a democratic republic nation. Got it.
Steps my administration is taking to curb this epidemic of gun violence. Much more need to be done, but the first want to rein in the proliferation of so-called ghost guns.
Ghost guns?
These are guns that are homemade, built from a kit, that include directions on how to finish the firearm. You can go buy the kit. They have no serial numbers, so when they show up at a crime scene, they can't be traced.
Okay, I have to stop this right here. Because this is one of the things that I heard that I'm like, okay, I have to talk on this because this is stupid. Okay, shows up in a kit. If a gun shows up in a kit, I'm pretty sure somebody's regulating that. Somebody out there is regulating that. There's no such thing as a ghost gun kit. I mean, maybe there is if you're part of the illegal, who knows, mafia, mobs, what have you. But no, these ghost guns, as you want to call them, are just people buying the various random parts, which you can buy, perfectly legal. Upper receiver here, lower receiver there, and they will they will assemble them at home. Okay, sure, they don't have a serial gun. This doesn't let us know who the killer is. Excuse me, fingerprints. The same thing that detectives have been using for ever when it comes to trying to track people down, when it comes to any kind of gun violence. Video cameras, like I said already, fingerprints. The gun registration thing the whole serial number thing is great when you're going after a citizen who isn't planning on killing people. Because do you know what happens when these freaking morons that want to run around and kill people with a gun? If they get a hold of a gun that's got a serial number on it, then what happens is they will file down the serial number so you can't find out what serial number is attached to that weapon. That's Hollywood right there. That's no kidding. Hollywood says this stuff, and they're not even accurate half the time. So, ghost gun. Oh, there's no serial number. What the heck's that going to do with anything? If you are already tracking the purchase of firearms and whoever, if they are selling kits, the company knows who they sold it to. They're obviously tracking it. Clown.
And the buyers aren't required to pass a background check to buy the kit. to make the gun. Consequently, anyone from a criminal to a terrorist can buy this kit in as little as 30 minutes, put together a weapon.
Sorry about that.
You know, I want to see these kits treated as firearms under the Gun Control Act, which is going to require that the seller and manufacturers make the key parts with serial numbers and run background checks on the buyers when they walk in to buy that package. The section action...
Whoa. You're telling me I can buy a ghost gun kit at a local arms dealer? If I was going to do that, I'd just go buy a gun. Obviously, they're not caring to do a background check on non-assembled weapons. And really, 30 minutes? It takes you 30 minutes to put a gun together? In as little as 30 minutes. Good grief, most people can assemble them in less than 10 if they know what they're doing. If it takes you 30 minutes, it means you took 20 minutes to read the dang instructions. And slide A goes into slot B. Good grief.
Second action we're going to take. Back in the year 2000, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms released a report on its investigations of firearms trafficking in America. The report was of pivotal value. It was an important tool for policymakers when I was in the Senate and beyond, at all levels, to stop firearms from being illegally diverted into dangerous hands. Today, with online sales and ghost guns, times and trafficking methods have changed, and we have to adjust. We also have to ask the Justice Department to release a new annual report. This report will better help policymakers address firearms trafficking as it is today, not what it was yesterday.
To solve gun violence, we need more reports. I'm drumming my fingers. What? What kind of nonsense is that? Paperwork will stop gun violence. I have a brilliant plan. Fund the cops that you took money away from, give them more monies to have better training, better equipment, blah, 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 and let them go stop the bad guys who are running around killing people. If you allow them to arrest bad guys, and your, VP over there, Miss Hyena, she used to prosecute them, we think. We're not entirely sure. Some days I wonder. But, arrest them. Put them in jail and don't let them come back out. Good grief.
Third change. We want to treat pistols modified with stabilizing braces with the seriousness they deserve. A stabilizing brace shook in a pencil essentially makes that pistol a...
Pencil essentially? Hold on. I think I got it. Here we go. Yeah. Yeah, no, I don't. Moving on.
A hell of a lot more accurate than a mini rifle.
More accurate than a mini rifle? What the heck is a mini rifle? I mean, you know those little tiny things that are like lighters or something? What the heck is a mini rifle? Are you trying to say that the pistol is becoming a mini rifle? Let me explain something to you. Bite me. Okay, so this whole pistol brace thing. I have seen these pistol braces. They're interesting. But, okay, you have your handgun, which I wish I actually had a handgun of sorts out here, but you're holding your handgun, and then you got this brace, put it into your shoulder so you can stabilize. Now, I want to explain how science works, since you love science so much. No, he doesn't. All this does is stabilizes your hand. Because otherwise you might be doing this number. So there's going to be a certain level of accuracy added to it, but it's not going to make it to the same accuracy that a rifle will have. Because, see, there's this much barrel for your bolt to go down, as opposed to this much barrel for your bolt to go down, or longer. I can't go any further because then you can't see my hands. So when it comes to our handguns versus rifle scenario on accuracy, the longer the rifle barrel, or the longer the barrel period, whether it's handgun or rifle, long arm as they like to refer to it, the longer the barrel, the more accurate the weapon usually is, because that keeps it basically what happens with a bullet is it spins, right? That's what actually rifle comes from, is there's these tiny grooves inside the barrel that causes the bullet to spin as it's firing. Now, the more spinning it does, more accurate it is, which will basically cause it to stay in a straight line. We actually figured this out through arrows. The flights on an arrow. If you had them curved just right, you'd have that arrow spinning. I mean, bullets would spin too, even though, the old balls. I can't remember what the heck they were called, and it's gonna hurt me now. But the little merit balls or something, not merit. Yeah, whatever. The little balls, black and powder type balls. They would still spin, but it would just be all over the dang place. So when you had rifling, it would cause it to spin in the direction we wanted it to. Well, anyhow, when you have these bullets firing, the longer it stays in the rifle, or in the barrel, in the rifled barrel, the longer it's in there, the more it's going to stay going straight. But eventually, it's going to do this number and get wider and wider, which is where further out from your target, the less accurate you are. So having this brace up here will stabilize your aim where you're pointing at, but it doesn't make the actual bullet itself any more accurate. It's still, for a handgun, it's still going to be accurate up to, 60 feet, 100 feet, something like that, where it'll say inside that's wherever it is you pointed, that after that it starts to move out of wherever it is you pointed. Of course, the further the bullet goes, the less accurate it is. But that does not give you any additional accuracy as far as the bullet's concerned. Just how much you're shaking over here.
As a result, it's more lethal.
No. Lethality has nothing to do with accuracy. If you get hit by the bullet, it's gonna hurt. All right. If I get hit here because I'm wearing or the bad guy, whoever's shooting me, is using a pistol brace or is not using a pistol brace, getting shot here is going to hurt the same. Okay, in the sense of video games, let's pretend, if I get hit here with a bullet, let's call it a 9mm, and normal handgun damage would take out 20 of my health. Okay, I put a brace on there. Okay, now I can hit you better, and it's going to hit you and take out 20 health. It doesn't make it any more lethal.
Effectively turn it into a short-barreled rifle.
What? A short-barreled rifle? What? Okay, in the sense that it's already a rifle. Okay, oh gracious. The handgun is already rifled. So, short-barreled rifle means exactly nothing. Literally nothing.
That's what the alleged shooter in Boulder appears to have done.
Alleged.
I want to be clear that these modifications to firearms that make them more lethal should be subject to the National Firearms Act. The National Firearms Act requires that a potential owner pay a $200 fee and submit their name and other identifying information to the Justice Department.
I'm going to cause you to spend $200 so that we can say you can have a gun. I'm pretty sure that's what people are a little bit cranky with right now. Bite me. Is you're restricting on how they can get a gun. They have to pay $200 for that. If I'm a bad guy planning on committing a crime, first off, I'm committing a crime, so the law obviously doesn't bother me. And B, or second off, I should say, make it stay the same, I'm just going to ignore that $200 thing. I'm just going to go bite wherever that guy can find it. Some other guy off the street, let him go through the background check.
Just as they would if they went out and purchased a silencer for a gun. Fourthly, during my campaign for president, I wanted to make it easier for states to adopt extreme risk protection order laws. They're also called
extreme risk order protection laws. That is too darn long. And I don't think it makes a sentence. Extreme order risk protection. Extreme order risk protection. Those are 4 words that don't go into a sentence, like at all. What does that mean? Oh, gracious.
Called red flag laws, which everybody in this lawn knows, but many people listening do not know.
I know what the heck
These laws
red
allow
flag
a
laws
police
are.
or family member to petition a court in their jurisdiction and say, I want you to temporarily remove from the following people any firearm they may possess because they're a danger in a crisis. They're presenting a danger to themselves and to others.
Okay, the red flag laws sounds great. Sounds awesome. Here's the problem. We already have something in place. It's called call the dang cops. If you call the cops and say, I think so-and-so is a danger to himself or others, the cops will come and haul his happy little backside over to jail. You ain't getting no guns in there. Useless piece of legislation. Absolutely useless. Oh, and we're going to petition the courts to do it. Because, the courts have been showing how uncorrupt they are. Hello, FISA.
And the court makes a ruling. To put this in perspective, more than half of all suicides, for example, involve the use of a firearm. But when a gun's not available, an attempt at suicide, the death rate drops precipitously.
You have exactly no stats to back that up. I can't do this, might as well do this. Kitchen knives are probably way easier to get a hold of.
States that have red flag laws have seen the reduction in the number of suicides in their states.
Oh yeah? By how much?
Every single month, by the way, an average of 53 women are shot and killed by an intimate partner.
But hold on. We were just talking about suicides. I said how much has been reduced every month. Now we're talking about women getting shot by their boyfriends or husbands or whatever. You did not give me any data. You gave me 53 women are getting shot by people in their apartments, which would not be suicide.
I wrote the Violence Against Women Act. It's been a constant struggle to keep it moving. We know red flag laws can have significant effect in protecting women from domestic violence. And we know red flag laws can stop mass shooters before they can act out their violent plans.
No. We tried that. Okay. History time. Red Hook, or Sandy Hook, excuse me. Sandy Hook. When that thing happened, there were people out there constantly reporting to the cops, so-and-so is a danger. He's going to shoot something up. There's a problem with him. And they kept getting called and kept getting called and kept getting called. And they kept letting the guy go. And then he shot people up. Does nothing. Bad guys are determined. If they're going to do something bad, they're going to do something bad. Okay, sure, you remove all their legally purchased guns, so they're going to go find another one. Good grief, this video is going to be really long.
I'm proud, excuse the point of personal privilege we used to say in the Senate, I'm proud that the red flag law in my home state of Delaware was named after my son, Attorney General Beau Biden, our son, excuse me.
The law back home in Delaware was named after my son. I mean our son, because, his wife is out there, but... Really? Why are we talking about that? Besides, we already know your family is corrupt as all get out, so I definitely don't want to have a law named after your son. I don't care if it is Beau Biden. Isn't Beau Biden the one that's dead? Probably because he's dead, that's why he got it named after him.
Who proposed that legislation back in 2013. I want to see a national red flag law and legislation to incentivize states to enact their own red flag laws.
Must be some wind going across.
Today, I asked the Justice Department to publish a model red flag legislation so states can start crafting their own laws right now.
Wait. You're going to have... Let me back this up. I did not hear that right. Hold on a second. He did not just say what I think he said, did he?
Can stop mass shooters before they can act out their violent plans. I'm proud, excuse the point of personal privilege we used to say in the Senate, the vast majority of the Americans support these model red flag legislation so states can start back in 2013.
Here we go. Sorry.
I want to see a national red flag law and legislation to incentivize states to enact their own red flag laws.
Okay, I did hear that right. You want a national law to incentivize states to make state laws. What kind of dumb BS nonsense is that? If there's a federal law about red flag, then that's it. You don't need any state laws to follow it. Good grief. Oh my god, that is the dumbest thing I think I've ever heard. Well, not really, because, I've heard Biden trips upstairs.
Today I asked the Justice Department to publish a model red flag legislation so states can start crafting their own laws right now. Just like with background checks, the vast majority...
The Justice Department has nothing to do with crafting legislation. Nothing. If they are crafting legislation, we are in serious doo-doo.
The Americans support these extreme risk protection order laws.
Extreme risk order protection laws. Extreme risk order. Okay, it's the same words in a different order, and it still does not make a sentence.
Time to put these laws on the books and protect even more people. The Attorney General will have more to say about this in a moment. Additionally, we recognize that cities across the country are experiencing historic spikes in homicides, as the law enforcement can tell you. The violence is hitting black and brown communities the hardest. Homicide is the leading cause of death of black boys and men ages 15 to 34. The leading cause of death. But there are proven strategies.
Leading cause of death in blacks 18 to 35 is homicide. How else is an 18 to 35-year-old person supposed to die? Okay, it's either going to be homicide or suicide, because you ain't got any, I shouldn't say any. There are going to be very few people dying of natural causes, heart attacks and whatnot, between the ages of 18 and 35. Oh, if somebody runs over somebody in a car, guess what's that certified as? Homicide. Nothing to do with a dang gun. Jiminy Christmas. This guy who's in the Senate or the Senate? House. Whatever. He was in Congress for 40 years and he still doesn't know what the heck a law is.
That reduce gun violence in urban communities. And there are programs that have demonstrated they can reduce homicides by up to 60% in urban communities. But many of these have been badly underfunded or not funded at all of late.
Now, who did that, I wonder? Who didn't fund cops to do their job?
Gun violence in America, for those of you who think of this from an economic standpoint listening to me, estimated to cost the nation $280 billion, let me say it again, $280 billion a year. You say, how could that be, Joe? Hospital bills, physical therapy, trauma counseling, legal fees, prison costs, and the loss of productivity. Not to mention the psychological damage done to the...
Do I really need to go through that? Do I really need to go through that? $280 billion spent to the economy that's lost. $280 billion is lost in the economy because we're paying for hospital bills. That would be money flowing into the economy. Therapy, money going into the economy. I can't remember all the other stupid things. The prisons, money going into the economy. The only one that makes sense is loss of productivity. The guy's no longer there, doing the job. So the job is not being done as many times or as often. Or you have, they're not working, so they're not getting paid. But the economy's still running there, Joe. Yeah, bite me.
The children who live in these cities watching this happen, knowing someone it happened to. This gun violence in our neighborhood is having profound impact on our children, even if they're never involved in pulling the trigger or being the victim of on the other side of a trigger. for a fraction of the cost of gun violence, we can save lives, create safe and healthy communities, and build economies that work for all of us.
Wait, for the fraction of gun violence. For a fraction of the cost of gun violence. Okay, it cost me what? $500 to $1,000 for the gun itself. We're going to completely skip the background check, because obviously criminals are not going to go through that. And what's the going price? About a buck a bullet, roughly, depending on what ammo you're trying to buy. You're talking for a fraction of $1,200. We'll go with that. Just make life easy. $1,200 for a fraction of $1,200 per shooting. We could stop all this. Sounds cheap to me. How many billions of dollars are you going to charge the country for this?
And save billions of American dollars. In the meantime, much of it, as Senator Cicilline knows, is taxpayer money.
Cicilline.
Finally, the Bureau of Alcohol, Tobacco, and Firearms, the key agency enforcing gun laws, hasn't had a permanent director since 2015. Today,
hasn't had a permanent director since Trump took office, you mean?
proud to nominate David Chipman to serve as the director of the AFT.
AF what?
David knows it.
Wait. The AFT? I thought we were talking about the ATF. What the heck is the AFT? A foot. I'm going to put my foot up someone's backside.
AFT well. He served there for 25 years.
Where is his teleprompter? Why is his teleprompter out there not checking his fat fingers right now? The heck? I put ATF. Why is he reading it backwards? He just became dyslexic.
And Vice President Harris and I believe he's the right person at this moment for this important agency.
Should have been
I've
a girl.
said before,
Girls don't let violence
my
happen.
job, the job of any president, is to protect the American people. Whether Congress acts or not, I'm going to use all the resources at my disposal as president to keep the American people safe from gun violence. But there's much more that Congress can do to help that effort. And they can do it right now. They've offered plenty of thoughts and prayers, members of Congress. But they
Wait, I thought thoughts and prayers don't matter. Didn't we get yelled at for that? Didn't we get yelled at for thoughts and prayers at Sandy Hook or whichever one it was?
passed not a single new federal law to reduce gun violence. Enough prayers. Time for some action.
Yep, there he is.
I believe the
Screw
Senate
prayers.
should immediately pass 3 House-passed bills to close loopholes that allow gun purchasers to bypass the background checks.
Gun purchases to pass the background checks. I mean, I can see purchases being used. Purchasers, is that a word? I mean, I guess it's a word. Ugh. Holy hell. We got another 17 minutes of this.
The vast majority of the American people, including gun owners, believe there should be background checks before you purchase a gun.
There's already background checks before you purchase a gun, you freaking moron. Obviously, it don't work.
As was noted earlier, hundreds of thousands of people have been denied guns because of the background checks. What more would have happened? These bills, one, require background checks for anyone purchasing a gun at a gun show or an online sale.
I'm going to help you out there, bite me. I purchased a gun online. I did. Did I have to go through a background check? Absolutely. Not when I purchased the gun, but when I tried to pick it up. They took 3 seconds to say, denied. You're out of state. Apparently, your spaceship has to be licensed in a particular state in order to get a gun. That's that. Why do you ask, do I have a gun? Why do I need a gun when I'm, basically packing already? Yeah, just for fun, because I like playing with guns. Having real guns is fun too.
Most people don't know it. You walk into a store and you buy a gun, you have a background check. But you
Most people do know that. Just because you don't know something does not mean most people don't know something.
go to a gun show, you can buy whatever you want and no background check. Second thing is,
Which we appreciate.
close what's known as the Charleston loophole. Like people here, I spent time down at that church in Charleston. What happened is, someone was allowed to get the gun used to kill those innocent people at the church service. If the FBI didn't complete the background check within 3 days.
If they didn't complete the background check, then how do you get a gun? Actually, more importantly, why did it take more than 3 days to do a background check? It shouldn't take that long. Does the guy have a record? Yes, no. That's all you're supposed to be checking for. Good grief.
There's a process. If it wasn't done in 3 days, according to the Charleston loophole, you get to buy the gun.
Because you're taking
They
too
bought
dang
the
long.
gun and killed a hell of a lot of innocent people who invited him to pray with them. And
I
three,
remember that.
reauthorize the Violence Against Women Act, which the so-called close the boyfriend and stalking loopholes to keep guns out of the hands of people found by a court to be an abuser and continuing threat. I held over 1,000 hours of hearings to pass the Violence Against Women Act.
Excuse me, you are in violation of the Violence Against Women Act. You've not seen the video of you, well, of course you haven't seen it, no one will show it to you, but you sniff people's hair. You sniff girls' hair. Good grief. And more importantly, this whole, oh yeah, if the court decides that someone is a stalker, they get their guns taken away. I want to know how many stalkers are out there shooting their girlfriends. I thought it was a little bit more personal. See, guns are not normally used for personal crimes. If I remember the stats right, if you are that angry with somebody, you usually take it out on a more personal level, which is usually like knives, because you want to feel their pain. Guns are they're over too quickly, that type of deal. I could be wrong on that because I'm not a psychologist and I'm not a psycho that would do something like that. But I'm just saying. Just saying. Sounds weird.
And one thing came through. If, in fact, a stay-away order, an order preventing the abuser from coming in a certain distance of the person he has abused or she has abused.
You mean a restraining order?
And now, the idea that they can own a weapon when they have a court order saying they are an abuser. These are some of the best tools we have right now to prevent gun violence and save lives.
He was on a sentence and then he stopped his sentence and forgot to finish the sentence. Good grief, old boy. Where's the teleprompters in here? I have yet to see a teleprompter. They need to get their rears in gear because this guy's losing it. I'm surprised he's managed to hold it as long as he has. Gotta be fed by earpiece or something. But this thing, sure, it makes sense. Again, it makes sense. Always makes sense. That's the purpose of the Democrats' policy on common sense gun law. Well, if the guy's already proven to be a stalker, harasser, blah blah blah, then he shouldn't be allowed to get a gun. If he's already proven to be a stalker, harasser, blah blah blah, arrest his hide. Put him in jail. He ain't getting a gun in there. Not a difficult concept.
But all these bills, they had support of both Democrats and Republicans in the House. And universal background checks are supported by the vast majority of the American people. And I might add, the vast majority of responsible gun owners. So let me be clear. This is not a partisan
The vast majority of gun owners want you to leave them the heck alone.
issue among the American people. This is a view by the American people as an American issue. And I'm willing to work with anyone to get these done.
Except me. He ain't gonna work with me because I'm gonna tell him to go pound sand.
And it's long past time that we act. Now, I know this has been a hobby horse of mine for a long time.
He knows what
Got
hobby
it done
horse is.
once. We should also ban assault weapons and high-capacity magazines in this country.
Not this again.
For that 10 years we had it done, the number of mass shootings actually went down.
BS. Already. This is one of those other things I heard about. BS. There's no proof on that. They actually did a study. They had exactly no proof that mass shootings went down. Also, most of these shootings do not involve a rifle. Not all. There are a few, but most of them don't. I mean, he just stated that the one out in Colorado had a handgun. I think the one that was hitting up all the Asian massage parlors. I think that was a handgun too. I think Sandy Hook was a handgun.
Even law enforcement officials have told me and told other champions of this legislation they sometimes feel outgunned by assault weapons with large capacity magazines.
Because you won't let them take a gun in there, clown. What's this high capacity? What do you define as high capacity? Because if you're saying 30 rounds, that ain't that many. I mean, that's what I call minimum. That's just for fun right there. High capacity is anything over 50. I really want to get one of them.
There's no reason someone needs a weapon of war with 100 rounds, 100 bullets.
Whoa. Just whoa. Weapon of war. I thought we were talking about rifles, not weapons of war. Oh, rifles are weapons of war. What a strange concept. I've never heard of that before, except every time this gun control thing comes up, they're weapons of war. You know what else is a weapon of war, you dunderhead? Crossbows, regular bows, swords, knives. They've all been used in war. They're all weapons. Also, 100-round magazines. Who the grief is running around with 100-round magazines? And where can I get some? You've already banned half of those. Good night.
That can be fired from that weapon. Nobody needs that. Nobody needs that.
I do. That sounds like fun.
We got that done when I was a United States Senator. It wasn't easy.
Also, this is America. We don't do need, we do want. Nobody needs 100 rounds. Nobody needs the internet either. I got this huge spiel I got to get into one of these days on this gun control thing. But just a little dip into there. Nobody needs a lot of the stuff we have. We're Americans. We don't care about need. We care about want. I don't need this. I don't need that. I don't need to have a YouTube channel. I don't have to have a need to have it. I want to have it, so I have it.
Going up against the gun lobby, but it saved lives. And we should also eliminate gun manufacturers from the immunity they receive from the Congress. You realize,
Like,
again, the people here, because they're so knowledgeable on here in the Rose Garden, but most people don't realize the only industry in America, a billion-dollar industry, that can't be sued, has exempt from being sued, are gun manufacturers.
BS. Absolute horseradish. I know where he's getting with here, and let me explain real quick why he's wrong. So, he's saying that gun manufacturers cannot be sued. No, gun manufacturers cannot be sued for their firearms being used in a crime. Which is not just for gun manufacturers, it's for many industries. If, let's say, big pharma, everybody likes to say big pharma, big pharmaceutical company, let's say Pfizer right now, because there's a name people are going to be recognizing recently. Let's say Pfizer made a drug, made antidepressants. Let's pretend they make antidepressants, and somebody gets a hold of enough antidepressant, puts it into somebody's milkshake or whatever, I don't know. But anyhow, basically forces someone to overdose on antidepressants that Pfizer made. Pfizer can't be sued for that. They can't. Somebody gets killed with a car. You can't sue the car company for that. I'm sure that the gun industry could be sued for something. I would say they could be sued if they made a gun that blew up in your face when you fired it. There's a pretty good chance you can get sued for that. Do you know what gun manufacturers make sure not to let happen? Guns that will blow up in your face when you shoot them. They're pretty darn good about having stuff like that in place. BS. Horseradish to our sniffer in chief.
Imagine how different it would be had that same exemption been available to tobacco companies who knew and lied about the danger they were causing, the cancer caused and the like.
We already know the danger of freaking bullets, you abject moron. That has nothing to do with being sued.
Imagine where we'd be. But this is the only outfit that is exempt from being sued.
Lies.
If I get one thing on my list, the Lord came down and said, Joe, you get one of these, give me that one. Because I tell you what,
That would not ever give
there
you
would
anything.
be a come to the Lord moment these folks would have real quickly.
You're going to get a
But they're not.
coming of the Lord moment here in a
They're
minute.
not. They're exempt. I know that the conversation about guns in this country can be a difficult one. But even here, there's much more common ground than anyone would believe. There's much more common ground.
I have yet to
Everything
find it.
that's being proposed today is totally consistent with the Second Amendment.
No, it's not.
And there's a wide
You are passing. Well, you're not even passing laws. You're using executive orders. You're trying to use executive orders to circumvent the law, period. Wrong. Man, this guy cannot stop himself from lying.
consensus behind the need to take action. I know that when overwhelming majorities of Americans want to see something change that will affect their lives, and it still doesn't change, it can be demoralizing to our fellow citizens.
Yeah, it is demoralizing. I keep saying let's get rid of abortion, but you won't do anything about it. Very demoralizing.
It can feel like our entire political process is broken.
It is, because if
I know it's painful and frustrating that we haven't made the progress that we'd hoped for. But it took 5 years to get Brady Bill passed, and it took even more years to work to pass the assault weapons ban. And it saved lives. No matter how long it takes, we're going to get these passed.
these bills are not going to be passed while I'm in office, because we all know they're stupid laws. Don't blame me for it.
We're not going to give up. We have an opportunity to fulfill the first responsibility of government, to keep our people safe. And in the process, we can show the world
From outside entities. Keep the people safe from outside entities. That's your first role. You forgot that bit.
and show ourselves that democracy works. That we can come together and get big things done. When I look around and see such brave survivors sitting out here in the Rose Garden, public servants who devoted their lives to dealing with this, advocates who feel strongly and are pushing every day to make the rational changes, and courageous parents and family members, I know the progress, even in this most difficult of issues, is possible. So folks, this is just the start. We got a lot of work to do, but I know almost every one of you sitting in the garden here. None of you ever given up. We're not going to give up now. The idea that we have so many people dying every single day from gun violence in America is a blemish on our character as a nation. Let me say to all of you, God bless you, but most importantly, the memory of all many of you have lost to the senseless gun violence. And now I'd like to hand it over to the Attorney General for him to speak and make some comments. And I hope I get...
Yeah, we're not listening to none of that because that's stupid. This is ridiculous. I mean, like I said, I only saw clips, but I cannot believe how many times I had to stop this video. I was thinking, just let it go through, just kind of comments because the one or two. Holy Hannah! This guy either says some dumb things or just straight up lies through his teeth. I know at one point I did say, I think I said, I don't blame him for lying because it requires the intent to deceive in order to lie. And I didn't think he had the intent because I don't think he knows what he's saying half the time. I'm not so sure of that. I think he might actually know what it is he's saying. Maybe. I don't know. But, again, not seeing any teleprompters. Maybe he's got something in his ear. Don't know. But this is just ridiculous. This is. As always, my good friends, stay safe until next time. And also, because I know some of you guys, if you've ever watched my video game playthroughs or whatever, you know I used to make the safety tips. So here's a good safety tip for you. If you are going to be attacked by somebody, make sure you have the larger, more high capacity magazine than the other guy. If you've got one of them 100-round magazines running around out there, we salute you. This is Realm Warrior signing out.